Hi everybody, I'm Tony E at Show IP Interface Brief, and today is February 25th. It's about February 5th. February 5th. It's about 2 weeks and 2 days past my reveal, or past when I got my CCIE, and I kind of just wanted to talk about what my life has been like for the last 2 weeks, and and reveal a couple of things because I think something very interesting sort of happens in this period after you get your CCIE. So let's talk about it. I'm trying to get the stream set up here. Hey, Dimitri, oh my gosh, Dimitri, thanks for joining, man. I haven't seen you in a very long time. Um, I can't believe, no, I can believe you're still awake because I know you stay awake all night over there in Europe. I don't know what time zone that is over there, though. So I have a couple of things I want to go over, and I wrote down some topics, and I was hoping that I had enough time to sort of do like a small lab demonstration, like a very small 4 router 2 switch setup, just to kind of give an idea of the sort of efficiencies you need to be successful at the CCIE lab. I realize the lab exam is changing, and these efficiencies may or may not still mean anything. I don't know, but I don't know if I'll have enough time to do that today. I don't know. Let me know in the chat if that's something you guys want to see. If it's something that maybe I can do a couple of small video series, like a couple of minutes long at each, and just call them like CCIE Lab tips, just things that help increase efficiency. I think that's really what I want to be able to show, because out of all of the workbooks that are out there and all of the training materials and all of the great vendors with their great materials, great videos, I mean, there's really a lot of great material out there. None of them prepared me for the efficiency portion of the lab. Each of them helped me in gaining the technological understanding of the technologies and theories, but none of them helped with the efficiency. So maybe I can squeeze that into my little lab streams here. It says, oh my God, just 2 weeks after that exam and you want to lab again. Dimitri, I've been labbing always. But now I get to lab new things instead of just CCIE focused. So I am hoping to lab sort of a much broader set of topics. But first of all, you are the lab master, Dimitri. Dimitri Stream, if anyone hasn't subscribed to Dimitri Stream, let me see if I can pull it up on Twitch. I'm going to drop a link here if we can. I'll put that in the chat. If you're not following Dimitri's streams on Twitch, you're doing yourself a disservice. He is an amazing programmer, amazing with coding, and he is doing so much for pushing the boundaries of automation. And I really do mean the boundaries. He did a stream recently, which now was a couple of weeks ago, I guess, where he spun up 500 routers in GNS3. That is ridiculous. I mean, I thought I was doing some large labs preparing for my CCIE, 60, 70 routers. 500 routers is unheard of. Now, I realize you're just pushing the boundaries of the emulation software and automation, but still, to be able to push out a topology, it looked crazy and such a cool thing to do. So you guys have to check out Dimitri's stream. I dropped it, a link in the chat, and I'll put the link below this video once it gets uploaded to YouTube, if I can do that now. So it's been 2 weeks. So at my work, we have a staff meeting that happens every so often, and that's where we all get together. There's a lunch provided, and we sort of get caught up on on business topics, what's new in the company in case there's new people there, new divisions, new business, and it's where everyone can sort of get a level set on the company. And they also treated that as a celebration party for me getting my CCIE, and that was last week. So there was cake and cake pops and balloons and they put my name up on the slide deck, and everyone applauded, and it was very cool. It was very cool. I enjoyed it. It felt really awesome, and a very heartfelt thank you to the company who I work for, Ceiling Technologies, because I've worked for them for many years, and they are just as much a part of this journey, my CCIE journey, as my family is. When I started with Ceiling Tech, I didn't even have my CCNP completed yet. I still needed to complete my T-shoot. 4.5 years later, now I've completed my CCIE. So they have really been a part of my journey, and they have always supported me in some ways financially, by helping to pay with some financial assistance for either training materials or a lab attempt itself, and also things by saying, hey, if you want to come in on the weekends and have a quiet place to lab, you can always come in and squat at your desk. And I used that. I took that opportunity and used that to sort of get away from the confusion and commotion of being at home sometimes. So a huge shout out. I realize a lot of people's companies or employers aren't as supportive, either financially or just as a whole aren't supportive. And I don't take that for granted, and I'm really appreciative for what I do have, and it's super awesome. And I hope now that in my position, sort of being a CCIE in the company, right? I'm the first CCIE in the company, and I hope that in my position, those who want to continue to pursue certificates, that I can help and help encourage and influence and be a resource if needed. So I want to try to be able to give back, and I know that my company as a whole will also support them and encourage them, anyone who wants to pursue a certificate or continuing education through college, whatever path you choose. My path is certification. Alex, what's up, man? Error disabled. What's up, Tony? Just having a good time here tonight. And it's important for me to have a good time, because over the past 2 weeks hasn't been all fun. And this isn't something that I'm not sure, I haven't talked about with any other CCIEs yet. People who have been through the journey. I don't know why we call it the journey. There's got to be a better term for it. But that's really what it feels like, right? It's really like it's going from point A to point B, and the journey is everything that happens in the middle. And that's what this CCIE, pursuing the CCIE is, right? It's not the day you started that's the most important, and it's not the day you finished that's the most important. It's everything that happened in between those two moments. And that's why it's a journey, because every single person who has been through this, their experience is a little bit unique. While most people who have been through this pursuit of CCIE have, overlapping feelings and emotions and struggles, everyone's perspective is different, and everyone's journey is unique. Maximilian, hey, what's up? Welcome to the stream tonight. Let's see, I had a brief stint at an MSP, was studying Switch during my lunch one day. A new coworker asked what I was studying, so I showed him the cover of the book. He said, yes, a useless cert, he said. Oh my gosh. It wasn't the numbers, it was the friends we made along the way. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's always been the debate of, are certifications worthless, or are they worth something? Excuse me. And the same can be said about college degrees, right? And then people always debate, well, certs versus college degrees, I don't think there's a clear winner in any of those arguments, right? Everyone has a valid point from their own perspective. For me, my path was certifications. I didn't go to college. I pursued this networking certification, this networking path, and I tried to stay on it hard and fast. So within less than 6 years, I went from, no, wait a second. It's 2020 now. In just over 6 years, I went from CCNA to CCIE. I don't know if that's what everyone's journey is like. I know many people who have done that in a much more compressed schedule, and my hat's off to them, because I've taken the CCIE and I've been through this journey, and it is rough. It was hard on me. It was hard on my family. It was a struggle. It really was a struggle. Wax Tracks, Jedediah, thank you for joining me on stream. Student loans are so much fun. You know, I'm glad I don't have student loans. I've heard they're great, but I'd like to keep them away. Of course, I got 3 kids, so I know I'll be paying for, hopefully, lots of college if that's what they want to do. But the CCIE is not cheap, so let's take a minute and talk about that. The CCIE is not cheap. One of my good friends, Ben Gamble, who got his CCIE in 2019, I think he got it early 2019. I could be wrong. I did a video with him on my YouTube channel. You can go back and look up. It was one of the first CCIE interviews I did. He was a friend I met at a boot camp, and we stayed in contact, a couple of people from that boot camp. And he pursued his CCIE and completed it, and it was really awesome. He kept track. I bring this up because Ben kept track of, I think, all of the finances of pursuing the CCIE. How much the boot camp costs, how much the books cost, the INE subscription, how much travel costs, VAT tax, because if you take the certification over in Europe, you got to pay a VAT tax. Every certification, the written, the lab, everything, and sort of compiled it all together. And I think in my interview, he said it was somewhere around the $20,000 mark. I could be completely wrong. I might be fabricating that number. You have to go back and watch the video to find out for sure. Or if Ben drops in, he can set me straight. My own take on it was, just because we're sort of like going on comparing student loans to like the pursuit of CCIE. There are lots of people out there who knock their CCIE out in one shot with a very compressed schedule of studying, couple of months, 4 months, maybe 6 months of hardcore studying, and then one lab attempt and done. And I think those people probably have the least financial burden from that experience on them. That's a compressed schedule and only one lab attempt. But one lab attempt is $1,600 plus travel. You know, in my case, travel, and I'm going from continental United States. You know, so within the mainland, the United States mainland, and each time that I'd taken my lab, I've met people from all over the world, people from Canada, people from South America, people from Central America, met people from Panama, people who have come over from Asia. I met 2 guys from Dubai last time. They came from Dubai to take the exam here. There's a lot of travel costs. So my point is while I don't have student loans to pay off, when you're pursuing CCIE, there are no loans. It's all pay up front. So whether you're taking a boot camp or taking the lab exam or taking the lab exam, boom, 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 4 times, you got to pay up front. There's no loan for that. There's no defer payment to later. And in CCIE, I'm just going to pull up a calculator here because I'm terrible. 1,600 times 4. So I'm in it to $6,400, $6,400 in just lab exam fees. Plus travel. Travel's probably going to run me another $400. That's going to be hotel, Uber, and flight times 4. So that's going to be a $1,600. So let's add $1,600. This is not going to be an exact measurement, but I'm in it to $8,000 already. I took 3 chances on my CCIE written. That was $400 a pop. So that's plus $1,200 on top of that. So $9,200 in just exam fees and travel. I attended 2 boot camps. I'm very fortunate. Again, I started this stream off by saying I'm very fortunate that my company helps with assistance for pursuing continuing education, whether it's the collegiate path or certificate path, and that it can be counted towards boot camps as well. So I know previously I've used my budget towards boot camps, and that's how I was able to attend and get a lot of the support that I have. Each one of those I think was 4,000 or more. So if we just say 4,000 times 2, that's 8,000. So if I do plus 8,000 equals, I think I was at 9 something. Wait, what was, where's my number? Oh, I did plus 800. Okay, so I need to do, I messed that one up. 92 plus 800. So 8,000 plus 7,200. 17,000 I'm into it already. Plus, there's like the I&E subscription, you know, depending on how many years you want to keep that, if you want to pursue those materials. I bought various lab packs from Cisco 360, which was the expert level labs, Cisco 360 labs. They're great materials. All of this stuff is great materials, but it all costs money. It all costs money. So I'm probably into it. 20 grand over 3 years. So while I don't have student loans to pay because I didn't go to college, that wasn't my path, I chose to do certificates. That's still 20 grand roughly up front, right? There's no loans. So that's something to think about for anyone who's pursuing long duration certifications, especially if you need to go it 100% financially alone. You need to plan with yourself, and if you have a family, your family. Definitely you don't want to go through a hardship by pursuing, a financial hardship by pursuing the exams. I haven't used almost anything from my IE since I passed, but I still believe it helped me enormously get the job I wanted. Yeah, Dimitri, I remember, and I told you this the last time I saw you at a Cisco Live, someone was doing an interview with you and they were doing like CCIE trivia, and they asked you, what protocol number was OSPF. And I remember you just like looked at the sky and you didn't know the number off the top of your head. And that was right when I was drilling into the depth of my studies. So I'm yelling at the screen trying to tell you what it is. If anyone knows what it is, you can put it in the chat. And so that's very much something where the CCIE is an awesome certification. You learn a lot along the way. But like everything else, if you don't use it, you lose it. And you don't lose all of it, but it slowly starts to taper off. In fact, it's only been 2 weeks for me, and I feel like I'm not as sharp as I was 2 weeks ago. I was definitely very sharp 2 weeks ago. Yes, 89, Maximilian, you win. You win nothing. I have nothing to give. Okay, so after I got my CCIE, which was 2 weeks now, I really didn't know what to expect. Post getting a drink at Cisco Live US, you got it. You find me, I get you a drink. I really didn't know what to expect was going to happen after I got my CCIE. I heard a lot of stories about, you know, what happens to people after they get their CCIE, like how it changes their job, or they get a new job, or they get a raise or a bonus or something, you know, something work related, it changes their job, or that, you know, that I'm trying to recall other people's stories. You just got to talk to people and find out how it's helped them and how it's changed for them. I didn't know what to expect, how it was going to affect me and how it was going to change me, or what was going to happen. So I was just going along for the ride. And I guess I was a little bit disappointed in the fact that nothing changed. I still get up every morning. I still put my pants on one leg at a time. Nothing changed. I don't know what I thought was going to change, but I guess I thought there was going to be some big revelation or big turning point in my life, that something was going to happen. But nothing really happened. And I was a little disappointed about that. And I don't know why. And I think maybe it's because for the last 2 years, I've been blinded by the CCIE. It's the only thing. It's I've said the 4 letters CCIE more times than anyone should ever say it in the last 2 years. It's all I think about. It's all I dream about. It's all I read about. It's all I talk about, right? So to have it finally over with, I'm like, okay, that's done. And I'm kind of like, well, nothing changes, right? I'm still the same person. In fact, I wish I could remember this thought at the time, but had I failed on the last attempt, still nothing changes, right? I still wake up in the morning, every morning. I still put my pants on one leg at a time. I'm still the same person. I still got the same knowledge. Nothing really changes. But I don't know. I guess I thought it was going to be like tearing open your shirt and like revealing that you're Superman. But nothing really changed. And I found that quite disappointing. I don't know why, but I did. And that's the truth. So a couple more things. Tech Field Day is going to be next week. Networking Field Day 22. I want to give a big shout out to the Tech Field Day team. I'm going to be involved with that next week. So I'm very excited about that. That is something that I wanted to try and do last year, but couldn't because I was really hard pursuing my CCIE. And when I was asked about it, about being part of the Network Field Day event this year, finally my schedule lined up just right, and boom, I was locked in, and I'm so excited about it next week. So excited about it next week. There's going to be some awesome folks there. People that a couple of people that I've met in person, but others that I know only through online in our networking community. And some of the vendors I've worked with before. I don't know what they're presenting. And some of the vendors I haven't met before. So I'm very interested in learning about their new products, what they're bringing to the table, and that's going to be something that's very awesome. So for that, I'm going to drop some links in the chat. You guys will want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, definitely. And the Network Field Day events are streamed live. If you want to catch those live streams, you'll need to head over to Tech Field Day and find it through the website. They're going to be posting some live streaming links so you can be part of the excitement. And if there's ever any questions or anything you want me to poke at any of the vendors, you can always send me a message, send me a tweet, something like that, and I'll be happy to raise my hand and do so. Let's see, Jed. Networking Field Day is lots of fun to do. Yeah, I know you've been to at least one, maybe more. I've seen you in the videos. Cisco had the best lasagna I've ever had. Well, I hope that's true. Dimitri says, the same person, but what a fancy number, which gives a confidence boost. That's right. And actually, that's going to be the next thing I talk about. Network Field Day 18. Thanks, Jed. Now you just look at the network and scare it into fixing itself. Yeah, thanks, Alex. D Bizzle, because that you are either not looking for new opportunities or you just haven't put your resume out there. This is the same realization Luke has at the end of Return of the Jedi. Put your digits out there and on LinkedIn. The floodgates will open. I did put my digits on my Facebook, on LinkedIn and on my Twitter and here right on the top of your streaming screen. And I don't care how ridiculous earning those numbers might be to some people in the industry. For me, this was a very hard thing to do, and I'm so proud to have these stupid 5 numbers that I am going to show off to everyone, everywhere, because this is my accomplishment. This is one of the high water marks for me in achieving something. Definitely is. So I'm going to wear it loudly and proudly. My numbers. Those are my numbers, and no one else can have them. Okay, so I want to talk about something that I don't know if there's anyone on here who's been through the CCIE journey and wants to chime in. And it's something I actually haven't talked about with any other people who have been through this journey before. I probably should have fielded some opinions in some smaller groups before deciding to do a live stream. But as usual, I just shoot from the hip and hope we come out on top. So the week that I did my results reveal, my CCIE reveal, that was super exciting. I had a blast. My family loved it. Everybody had a great time. I was constantly getting text messages from family members who I didn't even know were watching or taking part in, and congratulating me, people from work, people reaching out, people I've met long ago that I didn't even know were still around, and they were messaging me saying like, "Hey, great job, saw your stream, congratulations." And that was so heartwarming, and it was really awesome. It was awesome to be successful, and it was awesome to help bring warmth to so many others. And that lasted for about 5 days. A lot of people sent me direct messages, DMs on Twitter, thanking me and congratulating me. And I went back. It took me about 5 days to catch up to say thank you to each and every person who sent me a direct message. And that's because I read each one and wanted to send a real thank you to everybody. It took about 5 days. And what I found was the week following, after I hit like the 1 week mark of doing my reveal, I actually fell into a small depression, maybe. I don't know, maybe depression is too strong a word for it, but I definitely hit a lull. And I wasn't expecting that. Here I am at that time last week at the highest point in my personal life, professional life, career. There's many high watermarks that all happened at once in the last 2 weeks. And here I am straddling those high watermarks, and I was really feeling like crap. And I didn't take my own emotions into account. I guess I thought that my emotions toward the entire journey and the experience were flat, you know, that we were all excited and we were having fun and this was great, but that I was flat on it, you know. It was fun, it was cool, we did it, all right. And what I found was my emotions have peaks and valleys as well. And the week of getting my CCIE was definitely a high peak in my life, personally and professionally, for so many reasons. But what I didn't realize, the week to follow was definitely a pretty extreme low. And I found myself waking up each morning and going to work and thinking like, what's the point? You know what I mean? You sort of get those feelings like when you feel depressed, you just kind of like feel like what's the point? Like, what are we even doing here? You know? And I knew that I shouldn't be feeling that way because, hey, I'm at the highest point in my life and I'm feeling very low. And what I realized was there was a real chemical thing that happened when I got my CCIE. There was such a euphoria that came through and lasted for days and days, that when the hype finally wore off, I felt extremely low about all of it. It was really hard to find the good in it all. I was asking myself, is this even worth it? Why do we even go through this? I feel like crap. You know, what's the point? And I don't know if this resonates with anybody else. Like I said, I didn't ask any other people who have been through this journey if they felt the same way. And maybe other people are just much more even-keeled than I am. Maybe I'm much more tied to my emotions than I thought I was. But I felt really low. And I talked with one of my managers at work, and we had just a sit-down talk about how things were going, and just a catch up, and he kind of brought that up to me and said like, I think you're kind of like, you're on the other side of the wave. You're on the decline of the wave of feeling good about it. He said, I think it's natural, because he kind of asked me like, how's things going? And I'm like, I didn't really have an answer. I wanted to say things are great, but I'm not going to say things are great if I'm feeling low. And it was kind of him that kind of like brought that idea to myself that like, wait a second, my emotions toward this are not linear, right? It's waveform. It's going up and down. And at that moment and during that time, I was hitting a real low. And I want to follow that up. I'm done talking about being depressed, okay? But I want to follow that up with something that is very real. Very real, and this is something that has been talked about in most industries over the last few years. It has really been hyped up. So many conferences have been talked about it. But I want to talk about imposter syndrome. Let me jump over to the chat. Maximilian, it's an amazing achievement, point of pride. I'm currently learning and going for the CCIE too. David York, awesome, dude. It is an amazing journey. The stuff that you learn from the beginning to the end is amazing. I have learned to solve some really complicated and fun routing and switching puzzles, and I love it. D Bizzle, hit that like button, guys. Yes, please. That would be a huge help. Liked and subscribed. Maximilian, would you say it's like the end of summer camp and you don't want to go back home? Yeah, a little bit. It kind of is. The CCIE hangover. Yeah, I'd say that more closely describes it. It is like a CCIE hangover. It's like going out and having a blast with your friends, except that lasts for days, okay? And then the next week, you realize like, you really do have a chemical reaction to it. I did anyhow. And I really had a low. Which is one of the reasons actually I wanted to do this video. I wanted to call it my 1 week video a week ago, but I couldn't actually pull myself to do it at that time. No one would have wanted to see me at that time. It was terrible, but anyhow, last comment, then we'll jump on to the next one. There should be a form of relief. Have an attempt coming up and telling myself already that this is just another step towards my overall objective, but to be happy about this win when it comes. That's right. Perhaps you're just missing the Texas brisket. Texas barbecue is off the chain. Texas barbecue is the best barbecue that's out there. Anyone from North Carolina or Tennessee or anywhere, you want to come battle that? Bring your barbecue over to Texas. We'll sit down. We'll have a battle. Texas barbecue is the best. I'm from an area not known for their barbecue. In my area, when anyone says, hey, I'm going for barbecue, like there's a barbecue truck somewhere, you're getting a pulled pork sandwich. That's what it is. Barbecue equals pulled pork. Now, some places are trying to do brisket and stuff like that, but it's not the same. Texas is where you want to be. Go to Texas. And bring me back some barbecue. Thanks, Maximilian. All right, so I want to jump into imposter syndrome, which is kind of funny. I'm laughing about it a little bit, but it is very real. While I was working towards my CCIE, I was learning. Okay, I was reading books, reading blogs, watching videos. Labbing, taking the lab, labbing some more. I was learning and exposing myself to technologies, lessons, theories, everything that there is to gain. And if ever there was an opportunity when I didn't know something, that was okay because I'm still learning. I'm not an expert after all. During the journey, and I'm still learning, and I had no problem sitting down and talking with folks much smarter than myself, just to sort of prove that, like, hey, I know a little bit about this, and that it's okay if I'm wrong, or it's okay if I don't know everything because I'm still learning. Now imposter syndrome has set in. Now I have achieved my CCIE, the top level certification. And now I'm scared to speak up. Now I'm scared to share with the world. I'm frightened to do a lab for all of you because I feel like well, he's a CCIE, he should know everything. There is still so much to learn. There's even very basic things that I'm sure I will overlook because I'm human. Or sometimes there will just be basic things that I will get wrong because I forget. Or I just don't understand them as well as I thought I did. The imposter syndrome is really setting in, and it's kind of a hard struggle for me because I joined Twitter and kind of few years ago, to when I started my CCIE journey, because I heard about all these great networking legends who are on Twitter. And I was like, wow, I just got to make an account and then I can socialize with these people and learn from them. And I did, and I sort of became part of the networking community. Look at us now, we're all on stream together. Everyone who here in the chat, a bunch of people watching. Chris Z, thank you for joining, and thanks for watching my reveal. So when I joined the Twitter community, I was meeting all of these people. And I found a lot of people that were doing labs and trying to help one another, and everyone was always helping. And I tried to give back too, and I tried to help a lot of people very early on. But as my studies progressed and I got deeper and deeper into my CCIE, I could no longer help anybody. And to anyone who's ever reached out to me for help for CCNA, a CCNP, a CCIE, or anything else, if I couldn't give you the time that you needed, it's because I needed to worry about my time first. I needed to worry about my journey. And I did so always thinking and always wanting to, like, as soon as this journey's done, I'm going to give back. I'm going to give back to the community in some form. And I have some ideas on how to do that, but I'm going to give back. So now that my CCIE is done, I'm like, okay, now it's time to give back. We can make a couple of videos. We can do some live streams. We can do some open labbing. We can do anything. And I feel the imposter syndrome sinking in. Like, oh my God, what if I get something wrong and I'm live on stream? Or, you know, what if someone calls me out on something that I don't really know much about? And, you know, there's so many awkward feelings come into my mind. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight was, I think I'm going to start doing those things, but I needed to sort of voice that and talk about that a little bit in order to get myself over my own feelings. The only thing that's stopping me is myself. And just like and that is a great piece of advice that applies to every single one of you, anyone out there, the only thing that's ever stopping you is yourself. And sometimes you just got to talk yourself through it, talk yourself over it. And that's kind of what I'm doing here with you guys. I honestly felt, Ian Johnson says, I honestly felt this after achieving just CCNA. Yeah, it's true. I mean, CCNA, when I got my CCNA, it was about 6 years ago. Let me tell you guys something that, you know, put this in your Tony E trivia, your show IP interface brief trivia. What was one of the things that I said to myself after getting my CCNA? The answer to that question was, I remember walking out of my CCNA with a passing score and sitting in the car, and I think maybe I was driving back home, driving somewhere, and thinking, I could probably configure just about anything. I could probably configure everything on the internet right now. That was just naivety. How do you say that word? Naivety? Naivety? That was me being naive. That was me being uneducated and inexperienced. But that was me having an immense confidence, a huge amount of confidence, and being ready to take on the world. And well, I'm glad I didn't touch no internet routers that day, any internet routers that day. But yeah, I thought I was ready for everything when I completed my CCNA. I was not. And as I've grown through my certifications, and now being 6 years later, completing my CCIE, I know now that the amount of knowledge that I do have is pale into comparison the amount of knowledge that is still left to learn. Not just in networking, but in all disciplines of information technology, information security, and everything. Yeah, Chris says, I was so fired up when I got my CCNA and learned quickly that I knew nothing. It's true, man. You ride that wave of confidence until you realize, well, it depends. It depends. Everyone's experience is different. But mine, I had high confidence and low competence. High confidence, low competence at the time. Mark M. Heard it once said that you want, hang on, let me read that again. Heard it once said that you want to be what is required at the time. At times, that means the smartest in the room, and other times not. Someone always knows more. That's been my experience. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, in fact, now that I have my CCIE, I'm finding myself being much more cautious when I speak about networking. And again, that's the imposter syndrome creeping in, but it's because I don't want anyone to call me out, and I want to make sure that what I say is right. Because for one, I don't want to feel embarrassed, right? I'm selfish about my own emotions and feelings. I don't want to feel embarrassed. And two, I really want to make sure I get the right information to people. Before I got my CCIE, before I was an expert, I would just, we would just work through whatever questions you had. I don't know. Let's go look it up. Let's go find out. And we'd both learn together. And now I'm being much more cautious with my words. Davan Lightfoot in the house. Thank you, buddy, for joining stream today. Thank you. You are a true motivation. It's funny because you don't know how much you don't know until you pass the CCNA, then go on to NP. Yeah, that is really, really, really true. It is really, really true. So I really have so much more to learn. The CCIE is not the end of my ultimate journey. It is a high watermark, and I have sort of slowed my roll a little bit. But actually, I started firing up a lab tonight because I thought maybe I was going to have enough time to do a quick lab for you guys. Mainly, there's some folks out there who are working towards their CCIE as we speak, and I wanted to be able to help them with some efficiencies because that is much needed. And I think I'm not going to do that this stream just because I didn't set my lab up 100% and I don't want to waste everyone's time. So I'm going to tune up a small lab and release a couple of short videos called CCIE Lab Tips. And it's really going to be a study of efficiencies. How to most efficiently, from my point of view, maybe there's a faster way to do it. And that's what I hope to document. The most efficient way to accomplish a task. The CCIE Lab is not a set of corner cases and impossible tasks. Instead, it is a bunch of medium complexity tasks. Some are easy, some are medium. One or two might be hard. It's not that bad. But it's a ton of work, and it's a brand new topology in an environment that you're not familiar with. And that's what the struggle point is. And what I do is I want to be able to help people with some efficiencies so that you can train at home. In whatever lab you're doing, you can train with a good set of efficiencies in your pocket ready to go so that whenever you sit in front of the lab, you already kind of know the quickest and fastest way to do that. Davan, thanks for following. I'm extremely happy for you, bro. And Jed says, maybe we'll finally get secure CRT in the lab. I know Juniper does this. Yeah, I heard Juniper does it, and I guess we'll find out February 24th is a Monday. We'll find out February 24th from those people taking the lab what the lab is like. I want to say something since Davan has graced us with his presence. He is an awesome contributor to the networking community, and he has done so much for so many people. He's even done a lot for me, and I think I gave him a little shout out when I did my CCIE reveal. But there's been a number of people in my lives, in my life, not lives, who have who have really given me a lot of backbone support. And Davan is one of those people. He has, I have called him in the wee hours in the morning when I know he should be sleeping, and I'm sure he was, but he took the time to answer my call and listen to me just complain because I was in a low point in my life with my studies, and he was there to support me. And one of the things that he helped encourage me to do without him even knowing it. So I just want to talk about something that Davan doesn't know, I don't think. Very early on, when our paths crossed online through streaming and the networking community, I was watching some of his streams, and I hopped on one of his chats one day and said he was helping the community by, I think he at the time was doing some CCNA security labs, and he was doing that, streaming regularly. I don't know if you guys remember that. We're going back maybe about a year or so now. And I hopped on there, and I was just asking the question, like, what can I do to help the community? And I don't know if that's exactly what I said. I think I was asking the question about, do I spend my time helping the community and trying to help others grow, or do I spend my time trying to grow myself? That's really the question I was asking. If anyone goes back and finds the video, I don't know how I actually phrased it at the time, but that's really what the information I was gathering. And he told me that you got to go ahead and pursue what you need for yourself. And that's one of the turning points in my life, one of the many, and comes from a lot of the people who have helped me in this journey. I was at that time thinking about just putting my CCIE journey on pause and just sitting with my CCNP, and instead turning back down the mountain and lending the hand to help pull people up. And I was just going to kind of make that my job, just to help people and help people and help people. But he encouraged me to keep going for CCIE and to take care of myself. And then afterwards, if I can, help other people. So that's what I want to do. And that's going to be one of the ways I help, is by going over some lab efficiencies. And you see all this crap back here? I'm going to do a small video series where we're going to start breaking down each one of the topics that I have written up here before I erase it. And then when I'm done, my board will be completely clear again. And that's what we're going to do. Maximilian should add Jeff Denton's contextual regex highlighting. Contextual regex highlighting. I'm trying to see what this is in relation to. Maximilian, can you drop me a link or something? Actually, I don't think you can. Let me see. Can you drop me a link in the chat? Jeff Denton's contextual regex highlighting. And I've been following your videos silently, but I wanted to tell you, you've been a great motivation. I'm really happy for you. Congrats to you and your family. Enjoy. Thank you, Anis. Anis Ali, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I hope that the new lab is going to be awesome. We will hear about it very, very soon from the people who are going to take it. But I kind of just wanted to get that sort of stuff off my chest and lay out my roadmap coming over the next month or so. I have a bunch of stuff in the works. Thank you, Davan. Definitely, we will catch up on the side here. It's funny how life works. I know it seems like we see a little bit less and less of you, but I know the less we see of you, when you pop your head up, you are extremely impactful. So it is so awesome. And Tiffany, awesome to have you in chat tonight. Thank you for joining stream. But yeah, I kind of wanted to lay that out. So just to recap my story here, completing my CCIE and doing the reveal and everything was an absolute high in my life. It lasted for days and days, and it was a euphoric feeling, and it was something that I worked for nearly 2 years, and to have it completed was amazing. The week that followed felt pretty good. The week that followed that week, getting into my second week, I felt a real low, a real depression. And And that was a hard struggle to go through. And now I'm left with this lingering feeling of imposter syndrome, because now that I've achieved my expert level certification, I feel like everything that I say needs to be perfect and that everyone needs to think that I'm an expert. I need to continue to prove myself. And in doing this stream here tonight was me sort of shattering that idea in my head and just saying, you know what, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be imperfect. And even though I have a CCIE, I am still learning. And that's what this is about. So I'm still going to continue to learn, and I'm going to help others, hopefully. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for all the support. It has been very, very awesome to have the entire community participate in all of this. Wax Tracks, looking at your whiteboard, it looks like maybe you're going to explain routing from the Pentagon to your house. That's, where the hell is that? Oh, there's the Pentagon, there's the house. That is some doing that my kids did, but we can talk about that. We can talk about that. There's not a lot of complicated stuff on here, but I feel like if I took the time to write it down, it was helpful to me. It's going to be helpful to somebody else. Let's make a video of it so it lasts forever. Guys, that's all I have for tonight. I wanted to do a lab tonight, but I quickly took that off of my sheet of things to do because I tell you what I'll do. I will show the lab that we're going to do tonight. This is actually, the lab isn't done. My lab here, my lab build is not complete. I'm just starting, but my stream is delayed, so I don't know what I'm looking at. Okay, here we go. So I'm just dropping some routers on, and I'm going to get these connected up and these connected up, and then I'm going to get these two sections connected to each other, and I might put some stuff down here at the bottom as well. This is not a simulation of a CCIE lab or anything like that. Instead, I'm just going to kind of break down some common network architectures and how to configure them most efficiently. Based on my own experience. Also, if I can open the whiteboard, I hope there's not anything embarrassing on here. This is actually kind of like what we're going to be working with. I'm going to draw this topology out, actually, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to make some lab videos that are actually going to talk about how to most efficiently configure some of these things, because that is what I have gained definitely through all of this. And that is something that I think is lacking in a lot of instruction out there. And when people try to expose you to the lab and tell you what it's like, they don't really tell you about these subtle efficiencies. In fact, in the lab itself, in the lab topics itself, right along the top, it says, remember to use the best efficiencies possible. Copy and paste when possible, template out your configs. It says it in the text itself. It says it right there. I mean, and yet most people don't really talk about it. All right, so let me see. We'll catch up on some chats, and then we'll wrap up here. Davan, man, funny how life works. Let me see. Jed, your whiteboard. Hey, Tony, I'm so proud of you. Thank you, Tiffany. Congrats, first of all. Can you briefly share with us how you did your practice for lab? I mean, what sources? I would love to know all on your whiteboard. A lot of this is mostly just stupid stuff, but definitely we will go over it. And Anise, are you planning to share my Eve and G Lab? Yeah, so when I finish this build, it's not going to be very complicated. It's going to be fairly simple. I will share it. It's no problem. It's not a copyright, and I'm not building a workbook out of it or anything. It's just going to be something fun that I'm going to work some videos through. As far as practice materials, I did a lot with Cisco 360 Labs. I don't think that resource is available anymore. I believe they took that offline or are taking it offline, or I don't know if they're going to revive it. I did the INE Labs workbook. You can get rack rentals from them, or you can do Cisco Viral. and do their labs that way, or there's lots of ways to do their labs in EvenG or any other number of emulators, GNS3 or whatever. And then there's also, once you're at, I think I said this before, use your I&E labs for building your technology experience and awareness, about learning each individual technology. I&E workbook does a great job of explanations, write-ups, the answer key. It's really good. I found it super helpful. And you can kind of pair it with some of their videos too, if you want to get a little bit deeper dive. I think that's super awesome. Then I would do something like Cisco 360. I don't know if that's still going to exist, but I would work on like prepared labs that are already made, that are teaching you how to stitch together those individual technologies, how to do multiple spanning tree and port channel and VLAN filtering all in one layer 2 task. So you got to figure out sort of how to stitch all that together. That's what the Cisco 360 stuff does. The Cisco 360 stuff were a little bit smaller labs. They were 6 routers and 4 switches, so 10 devices, where your actual CCIE lab is much larger. Then I would go and purchase a large lab pack. I recommend the Jaziri labs. That's what I did at the time. And the Jaziri labs are great. I mean, some of the labs there have 20, 30 routers. Some of the troubleshooting labs have 60 or 70 routers. Those are really awesome topologies. And you don't need a huge server to run them if you run the low overhead images, the IOL images. So we can definitely break all that down at another time. I test my config on one router, make sure it works, then template it out. Just makes the most sense, especially for CCIE Lab. Took some getting used to when you first start doing that. Absolutely. Templating is something I'm going to cover on my efficiencies videos. And if you template it out right the first time, you don't have to test it on a router. You can just start copying and pasting it in, saving you a step. So that's one efficiency that I'll just drop on you now and kind of show you how to do it. Excuse me. And Jed, they stopped selling 360 last August. They haven't officially announced a replacement, but I'm sure they'll come up with something. And Andreo, thank you. Yeah, I hope that was helpful. And Anise, I hope that was helpful as well. Anyone else that asked. Thank you very much, everybody. It has been awesome. 2 weeks into CCIE, and I think I finally figured out my place in the world, at least in this given time and space. Thanks, y'all. See ya.